For her young, he risked his life. And now the alien mother claims him. Ethan Corvin had always been drawn to the edges of the known universe, places where the stars were fewer and the planets stranger. His life on the colony station, perched on the edge of the Vera system, was quiet compared to the thrill he had once known on exploration missions. Yet, when he looked out at the endless expanse of black dotted with distant suns, a spark of adventure always kindled in him. The colony was small, built mostly of modular structures connected with narrow metal walkways. Scientists and engineers filled the base, studying a new planet on the outer rim of the system. The planet had a dense, green surface, with towering trees that shimmered faintly under the alien sun. Some even glowed faintly in the dark. It was the kind of world that inspired awe and caution in equal measure. Rumors had begun circulating among the colony that the planet harbored a species never before encountered by humans. They said the creatures were intelligent, protective of their young, and capable of actions that showed emotions almost like humans. Ethan didn't care much for rumors. He cared for the truth, and truth in his mind was always worth risking a little danger. The day had begun like any other. Ethan was walking along the edge of the forested area near the landing zone, scanning the planet's surface with his instruments. He paused, squinting at a flash of movement between the enormous roots of an alien tree. Something small was darting through the shadows. It had pale, smooth skin and large, dark eyes that reflected the sunlight like mirrors. Ethan's heart skipped. That must be one of them, the creature he had heard whispered about. Then came the noise, a sharp shout, harsh and foreign, followed by a commotion. A group of poachers, humans like him but armed and cruel, were running toward the small alien with nets and cages. The creature let out a high-pitched, desperate sound, and instinct surged in Ethan before he even thought. He ran. His boots slammed against the rough, uneven ground, dodging roots and low-hanging branches. The poachers were close, and the small alien stumbled, its legs weak and panicked. Ethan shouted, a voice he barely recognized as his own, "Hey, leave it alone." The poachers laughed, cruel and sharp. One swung a net toward the creature, but Ethan was faster. He dove, grabbing the small alien just before it was trapped. Its skin was soft against his hands, and for a brief moment it clung to him, almost instinctively. He could feel its rapid heartbeat, tiny but frantic, and his own pulse raced to match. Ethan ran, weaving through the trees, the poachers shouting behind him. He knew the forest at least partially. Years on frontier planets had taught him how to read terrain, how to move silently when necessary, how to disappear in a few steps. Still, he couldn't afford mistakes. One wrong move, and he and the small alien would be trapped. Branches scraped his arms, and roots tried to trip him, but Ethan pressed on. He could hear the poachers getting closer, their footsteps pounding against the soft alien soil. Then he remembered the river. A small stream ran in a loop near the edge of the forest, its waters deep and fast-moving. If he could reach it, maybe he could shake them off. Ethan leapt over a fallen tree trunk and finally reached the water. Without thinking, he jumped in, the alien child clinging tightly to his chest. The current tugged at them both, cold and strong, but he pressed forward, pushing against the flow. The poachers hesitated at the riverbank, unwilling to risk the water, giving Ethan the moment he needed to escape. Hours later, he emerged on higher ground, panting and soaked. The alien child was trembling but unharmed. Its large, dark eyes stared up at him, unblinking for a moment before it made a soft, cooing sound. Ethan smiled faintly, the tension easing slightly. "You're safe now," he whispered. "I've got you." The journey back to the colony was tense. Ethan carried the creature carefully, hiding it under his jacket, always scanning the trees and sky for danger. He thought about the risks he had taken. He had broken protocol, put himself in extreme danger, and gone against the orders of his superiors. But as he looked at the small alien, its trusting gaze burning into him, he knew it had been worth it. Back at the colony, Ethan faced a new problem. Where could he keep the creature without alerting the authorities or the poachers? He chose the research lab where he worked. He modified an observation chamber with temperature controls, a soft bed of moss, and a small water pool. The alien child seemed to sense the safety immediately, curling up on the moss as if it belonged there. Ethan watched it for hours, fascinated. Its movements were precise, intelligent, almost playful. It touched his hand with tiny fingers, exploring him like it wanted to understand him. Ethan felt a strange warmth, a bond forming, and he realized that this creature, fragile and innocent, had changed him already. But his sense of wonder was cut short. The sky outside darkened suddenly, a heavy shadow falling over the colony. Ethan stepped outside, scanning the horizon, and froze. A figure descended from the sky, larger than any creature he had ever seen. Its body glowed with shifting colors, bioluminescent patterns that seemed to ripple across its massive form. The alien mother. She moved with grace and authority, each step deliberate and calm, yet powerful enough to shake the ground. Her eyes, intelligent and unyielding, fixed on him. Ethan felt a chill run down his spine. He had expected danger, maybe poachers returning, but nothing like this. The alien child stirred in the lab, responding immediately to the mother's presence, cooing softly. Ethan knew without words that the mother had come for her child. He swallowed hard, his mind racing. Could he convince her of his intentions? Could he survive an encounter with a creature so powerful, so alien, so aware? He stepped toward the mother cautiously, hands raised to show no threat. The alien mother stopped a few meters away, tilting her head, observing him with a strange intensity. Ethan could feel her studying him, testing him in ways he didn't understand. He tried to project calm, to show empathy, but fear and uncertainty threatened to overwhelm him. Minutes passed in silence. Then, with a motion that seemed almost gentle, the mother lowered her massive head, examining him more closely. The air around her vibrated slightly, a hum that made Ethan's chest tighten. He realized she could communicate without words, through emotion, through understanding. The alien child, sensing its mother's presence, began to make soft sounds, reaching out toward her. Ethan felt a pang of both relief and apprehension. He had saved the child, yes, but now he had to face the consequences. The alien mother's gaze remained on him, unbroken, unyielding. Ethan knew this was only the beginning. His courage, his intentions, his very humanity would soon be tested in ways he could not yet imagine. He had risked his life for this creature, and now the alien mother had come to claim him, not with anger, but with the silent, unspoken challenge of a species that demanded respect and understanding. As the sun set, casting long shadows across the colony, Ethan felt a strange mixture of fear and awe. He had ventured to the edge of the unknown, and the unknown had stared back. The night was quiet, but the tension remained, a promise that the next chapter of this encounter would test him in ways beyond anything he had faced before. And as he watched the alien mother slowly retreat to a vantage point overlooking the colony, Ethan realized one simple truth. The life he had risked, the bond he had formed, had changed everything. There was no going back. The alien mother waited silently on the cliff above the colony, her massive form glowing softly in the dim light of the twin suns. Ethan could see her from below, the hum of her presence vibrating through the air, touching his chest like a quiet warning. The small alien child in the lab cooed softly, responding to her mother's silent call. Ethan knew he could not keep the child forever, but the thought of returning it felt heavy in his chest. That morning, he approached the observation chamber, carrying the small alien carefully. Its dark eyes blinked up at him, curious and trusting. "We have to meet her," Ethan whispered almost to himself. "There's no way around it." He opened the chamber and stepped outside, the creature cradled against his chest. The alien mother turned her massive head, observing him as he approached. Ethan's palms were sweaty, but he forced himself to stay calm. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, yet he knew flight would be worse. The mother was not aggressive, not yet, but her presence alone was overwhelming. He stopped several meters away, kneeling slightly to show he posed no threat. The alien child stirred, reaching out toward its mother. The mother's hum intensified, a sound that vibrated through the ground, through the air, through Ethan's chest. He realized the mother was communicating not with words but through emotion, sending waves of curiosity, caution, and something like questioning. Ethan took a deep breath. He did not understand her fully, but he could sense what she expected: respect, honesty, courage. He spoke softly. "I saved your child because it was in danger. I didn't want to hurt it. I just wanted it to live." The mother tilted her head, large, luminous eyes fixed on him. Ethan felt the weight of her intelligence pressing on him. Then she moved, slowly and deliberately, circling him like a predator would, though her motion was not threatening. It was testing him. Ethan realized she wanted to see his reaction, to judge his heart. Hours passed. The alien child stayed close to Ethan, murmuring quietly, occasionally reaching toward its mother. Ethan had to remain calm, patient, and truthful. He did not dare make sudden movements. He felt small under her gaze, yet he also felt a strange connection, as if she could see everything inside him. The courage, the fear, the hope. Then, as twilight fell over the colony, the alien mother lowered her massive head closer to the ground. She extended one enormous limb, touching the soil between Ethan and her. A pulse of energy flowed through him, not painful but intense, filling him with understanding. She was offering him a challenge. If he wanted to keep the bond he had formed with her child, he would have to prove himself worthy. The first test came immediately. From the depths of the forest, a series of loud noises erupted, trees crashing, branches snapping. Ethan turned just in time to see a group of poachers emerging, armed and angry. They had tracked him and the alien child, seeking revenge. Ethan felt the weight of the situation. He could fight them off, but the alien mother's challenge was clear. He had to act not just with courage, but with wisdom. He placed the alien child gently on the ground and raised his hands. "Stay," he commanded softly, hoping the creature understood. Then he ran toward the poachers, using his knowledge of the terrain. He led them on a chase, dodging between trees, jumping over roots, using the environment to his advantage. The poachers were relentless, but they underestimated him. Meanwhile, the alien mother moved. With grace that belied her size, she positioned herself between the poachers and Ethan, her glowing body intimidating them. The poachers faltered, unsure how to react to such a massive alien being. Ethan seized the moment, using his energy weapons to disable their equipment without harming them. The poachers fled, cursing and panicked, leaving the planet behind. Ethan collapsed on the ground, breathing hard. The alien mother approached, her glow softer now, her presence calm. He understood then that she was assessing not just his bravery, but his compassion, his intelligence, and his ability to act responsibly. Days passed, and the tests continued. She led him into the deepest parts of the forest, where the light barely reached the ground. There, he encountered natural hazards, rivers with strong currents, cliffs that required careful climbing, and creatures far stranger than the small alien he had rescued. At each obstacle, the mother watched, allowing him to struggle to think and to act. Ethan had to rely on his instincts, his experience, and his growing understanding of the alien species' way of communicating. One day, as he navigated a narrow bridge over a deep ravine, the alien child ran ahead, laughing softly in a sound that was more musical than any human voice. Ethan froze in terror as the child slipped. Without thinking, he dove, catching it just before it fell. The mother's hum resonated through the air, approving and gentle. Ethan realized the true purpose of the tests was to measure his willingness to act selflessly, to put another's life above his own. Finally, after weeks of challenges, he found himself standing before the alien mother one last time. The sun had just risen, casting golden light across the forest canopy. The mother lowered her head, her eyes meeting his. There was a calmness now, a quiet acknowledgement of his worthiness. Ethan extended his hands slowly, letting the alien child climb into his arms. The mother nudged the child gently, and Ethan felt a wave of connection pass through him. He understood then that the bond he had formed with the child was now recognized by its species. They trusted him. He had proven himself worthy. The mother stepped back, towering above him, her glow slowly fading as she prepared to leave. Ethan watched her ascend into the sky, feeling a mix of awe and sadness. The alien child turned to him, its large eyes filled with understanding, as if it knew its mother had approved and that it could stay with him, safe. Back at the colony, Ethan returned to his normal life, but he was not the same. The small alien child stayed with him, a living reminder of his courage, compassion, and the trust he had earned. He continued his work, studying the planet and its species, now with a deeper respect for life beyond human understanding. Word spread quickly through the colony of his bravery, yet Ethan cared little for praise. What mattered was the bond he had formed, the life he had saved, and the lessons he had learned. Humanity was often measured by its strength, but Ethan now understood that true strength was in empathy, in courage tempered by compassion, and in the willingness to risk everything for another being. The alien child grew under his care, learning from him and teaching him in ways that went beyond words. Together, they explored the planet, discovering hidden wonders and facing new dangers. And whenever the alien mother returned, hovering silently in the sky, Ethan felt a quiet reassurance that he had earned a place among them, a bridge between species built on trust, courage, and understanding. Ethan often thought back to the moment he first rescued the small alien from the poachers. He remembered the fear, the adrenaline, and the bond that had formed instantly. Now he realized that action had set into motion something far greater than he could have imagined, a connection between humans and a species of intelligence, strength, and empathy that would change his life forever. The bond with the alien child was not just a story of rescue. It was a story of growth, of respect, and of humanity shining in a vast universe filled with unknown dangers and unknown friends. Ethan had risked his life for the young, and in return, he had been given something priceless: trust, understanding, and a chance to prove that humanity could rise to the challenge of the cosmos with courage and heart. As the twin suns set once more, casting long shadows across the colony, Ethan looked at the small alien sleeping peacefully beside him. He smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning. There were more mysteries to explore, more dangers to face, and more chances to demonstrate the humanity that had always burned within him. And now, he was not alone. He had gained more than he had ever expected, not just the child's life, but the trust of an entire species, a bond that would endure far beyond the boundaries of the Vera system. Humanity had proven itself, not through force, but through courage, compassion, and the willingness to act for the sake of another. The universe was vast, but for the first time, Ethan felt a true sense of connection. He had faced the unknown, risked everything, and emerged stronger, wiser, and bonded to something extraordinary. The alien mother had claimed him in a sense, not as a captive, but as a respected ally. And with that bond, he knew humanity could rise to meet any challenge the stars might hold. Ethan leaned back, letting the alien child rest against his chest. The night was calm, the stars glittering above, and for the first time in his life he felt the infinite universe had become a little smaller, a little warmer and full of possibility. Life at the colony had settled into a new rhythm, but Ethan Corvin knew that peace on the frontier was always temporary. The alien child, who now had a name he had given it, Luma, had grown stronger and more curious each day. Its small body moved with grace, and its bright eyes seemed to understand more than words could convey. Together, they had explored the forested edges of the planet, discovering strange plants that glowed like lanterns and rivers that shimmered with colors unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. Despite the calm, Ethan felt a pull toward the unknown. The bond he shared with Luma, and the memory of the alien mother's presence reminded him that the universe was vast and full of challenges. He had learned that courage, intelligence, and empathy were often tested far beyond the walls of the colony, and that the unknown could always surprise him. One morning, Ethan woke to an unusual stillness. The air was thick and heavy, the usual soft hum of the forest muted. Luma stirred at his side, sensing the change before he could even process it. Its small hand rested against his arm, a silent warning that something was approaching. From the trees, a strange light appeared, moving rapidly toward the colony. Ethan squinted, trying to make out the shape. It was unlike anything he had seen, mechanical yet organic in its motion, with glowing lines that shifted across its surface. His heart raced. This was no ordinary exploration vessel or poacher craft. Whatever it was, it carried intelligence, and it was coming directly for them. He quickly grabbed his communicator, sending a warning to the colony. The other scientists and engineers began evacuating, moving to secure shelters, but Ethan knew he had to face the unknown head-on. Luma clung to him as he sprinted toward the landing zone, scanning the approaching vessel. It hovered silently above the trees, then descended slowly, revealing a smooth metallic surface and a single glowing aperture that seemed to observe him. The alien mother appeared almost instantly, descending beside Ethan in a display of glowing beauty and power. Her presence was comforting yet commanding. She hummed softly, a sound that conveyed both reassurance and warning. Ethan realized that she had sensed the threat as well, and she had come to protect the child and guide him. The craft landed with a soft thud, and a panel opened to reveal beings that were humanoid in shape but clearly alien, tall, slender, and covered in iridescent skin that shifted colors with their movements. Their eyes were large, reflecting a strange intelligence, and they carried devices that pulsed with energy. One stepped forward, and in perfect but heavily accented English it spoke. "We seek the child. Stand aside, human." Ethan felt his pulse quicken. "The child is not yours to take," he said, his voice steady despite the fear rising within him. "We protect it. It belongs here on this planet and with us." The alien mother positioned herself protectively, her massive form a barrier between Ethan and the newcomers. The alien's gaze flicked to her, and for a moment tension filled the air. Ethan could feel the weight of her approval on him. It was not enough to speak. He had to act wisely, bravely, and with compassion. The aliens raised their devices, and a pulse of energy shot toward them, creating a barrier of shimmering light. Ethan felt it pressing against him, but the alien mother absorbed most of it, her body glowing brighter as she held the force at bay. Ethan knew he had to move quickly. He grabbed Luma and darted toward the forest, using the thick trees as cover. The aliens pursued, but Ethan had learned the terrain well. He moved silently, leaping over roots and dodging low-hanging branches. Luma seemed to sense the danger, moving instinctively in rhythm with him. As they ran, he realized that the forest itself could be an ally. Strange plants reacted to their presence, opening pathways or creating natural barriers that slowed the pursuers. After hours of navigating the dense forest, Ethan found a narrow canyon with walls too steep for the aliens to climb easily. He set Luma down and began preparing traps, using the environment to create obstacles. The aliens approached, but Ethan's ingenuity worked in his favor. He activated simple but effective devices that created flashes of light and loud noises, disorienting the aliens and buying time. Then, a voice spoke in his mind. It was the alien mother, communicating not through words but through emotion and understanding. "Trust yourself. They will not harm you if you act with care. Show them the truth." Ethan realized what she meant. Brute force was not the answer. He needed to communicate to convey his intentions and the bond he shared with Luma. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. Luma followed, standing close to him, its dark eyes reflecting determination and trust. Ethan spoke, calmly and clearly. "Luma is not just a child to protect. It is part of a species, part of a bond that is sacred. We care for it. We will not harm it, and we will not let anyone take it by force." The aliens paused, studying him. For a moment, the tension was unbearable. Then, slowly, one of them stepped forward, lowering the device. Their eyes flicked between Ethan and Luma, and finally a form of understanding seemed to pass. They did not smile, but their posture relaxed slightly. The alien mother approached, her massive form towering over the humans and aliens alike. She hummed softly, a sound that conveyed approval. Ethan felt a warmth spread through him as he realized that the aliens had recognized his courage, his honesty, and his compassion. They had understood that the child's well-being mattered more than their orders or objectives. The aliens lowered their devices completely and retreated, leaving the canyon. Ethan exhaled, relief washing over him. He turned to Luma, who climbed onto his shoulder, nuzzling him softly. The alien mother circled them, her glow dimming as she prepared to leave, signaling that the threat had passed and that Ethan's bond with the child was fully recognized. In the days that followed, Ethan continued to explore the planet, but now with a new sense of purpose. Luma grew stronger, learning more about the humans and their ways, while teaching Ethan lessons of empathy, awareness, and understanding beyond words. Together, they discovered hidden valleys, glowing lakes, and creatures that had never been documented. Each day brought wonder, each night brought reflection on the courage it took to face the unknown. Ethan also realized that his actions had inspired others on the colony. Scientists and explorers began to approach the planet with greater respect, understanding that the species they were encountering was intelligent, emotional, and deserving of protection. He shared his experiences, his failures, and his victories, teaching humanity to rise to challenges not with force alone, but with empathy, courage, and responsibility. Months passed, and one evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Ethan stood with Luma on the highest ridge, gazing at the stars. The alien mother appeared once more, descending gracefully from the sky. This time there was no challenge, no test. Her presence was a gift, a recognition of trust and respect. She hummed softly, and Ethan understood that their bond would endure beyond lifetimes, beyond worlds, beyond anything he had imagined. Ethan reflected on everything he had faced. The rescue from the poachers, the trials in the forest, the confrontation with the alien visitors, and the trust he had earned from a species beyond comprehension. He realized that humanity's true strength was not in domination or conquest, but in courage tempered by empathy, in the willingness to protect the innocent, and in the understanding that life, any life, was valuable. He looked down at Luma, sleeping peacefully against his chest, and felt a profound sense of peace. The bond they shared was more than survival. It was connection, trust, and understanding that transcended language, species, and worlds. Humanity had proven itself, not through force but through the heart, and Ethan had become a living example of what that meant. The universe remained vast, filled with unknowns, dangers, and wonders, but Ethan was no longer afraid. He had faced the unknown and emerged stronger, wiser, and bonded to a creature whose existence had changed him forever. The alien mother's presence, Luma's trust, and the lessons he had learned would guide him through every challenge to come. As night settled over the colony and the stars shone brighter than ever, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. He had proven that humanity could rise to meet the cosmos with courage, compassion, and understanding. And with Luma at his side, he was ready to face whatever the universe held next, confident that true strength came not from weapons or power, but from the heart. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest as he looked at the stars, knowing that he was not alone. The bond between species, between human and alien, had been forged in courage and compassion, and it would endure as long as he lived. He whispered softly to Luma, "We'll face everything together, always." The alien child cooed in response, nuzzling closer, and Ethan smiled. Humanity had found a friend in the universe, a reminder that even in the vastness of space, trust, courage, and empathy could create connections stronger than any star. And with that thought, Ethan Corvin felt the universe open before him, full of possibility, full of hope, and full of wonder. Life on the Vera frontier had settled into a rhythm, but Ethan Corvin knew that the universe had a way of testing even those who thought themselves prepared. Months had passed since the arrival of the alien mother and the establishment of the bond with Luma. The small alien had grown rapidly, learning from Ethan and the colony, showing a level of intelligence that fascinated everyone. Its movements were graceful, its gestures expressive, and its understanding of humans and their technology beyond anything the colonists expected. Ethan and Luma spent most of their days exploring the forested regions surrounding the colony. There were rivers that reflected the twin suns in rainbow-like patterns, towering trees with leaves that glowed faintly at night, and deep caves filled with crystals that hummed when touched. Luma seemed to sense the mysteries before they appeared, often leading Ethan to hidden places, sometimes stopping abruptly to observe the tiniest details of plants, insects, or soil formations. Despite the peace, Ethan never let his guard down. The poachers had been driven off, but the universe was vast, and danger could appear without warning. He had learned that intelligence, caution, and foresight were as important as courage. Every time he ventured into the wild, he carried supplies, defensive tools, and his mind sharpened for any unexpected encounter. One morning, while traversing a plateau overlooking a crystalline lake, Ethan noticed unusual movement in the water. Ripples formed far from the shore, as if something large had disturbed it. Luma stepped closer, its tiny fingers brushing his hand, and Ethan felt a shiver run down his spine. Whatever was approaching was massive, and it moved with purpose. A great shadow rose from the lake, breaking the water's surface in a swirl of light and liquid motion. Ethan's eyes widened. It was unlike any creature he had ever seen. A massive, semi-transparent being that radiated energy in pulses, its form constantly shifting like molten glass. Luma hissed softly, a warning that the being was intelligent and aware of their presence. The alien mother appeared in a flash of light beside them, her glow calm but alert. She emitted a low hum that Ethan felt vibrating through the ground and air. Luma responded immediately, huddling against Ethan and touching the mother's leg. Ethan realized that the mother had sensed the newcomer as well, and that this was likely an encounter of significance. The lake creature rose fully, towering over both humans and the alien mother. Its form shimmered, revealing what appeared to be many eyes, each blinking and observing them independently. It spoke, not in words, but through a series of mental pulses that Ethan somehow understood. We seek balance. You interfere where forces must flow naturally. Ethan's mind raced. The being was intelligent, possibly older than the planet itself, and clearly aware of the bond between humans and aliens. He stepped forward cautiously. We do not intend harm. We protect life here, but we respect the natural balance of this world. The creature pulsed again, the light shifting across its surface in waves that made Ethan dizzy for a moment. Protection has consequences. The young one you nurture carries power that may tip balance. You must prove your worthiness beyond mere survival. The alien mother's glow intensified, and Ethan felt her reassurance. She was communicating silently, telling him that courage alone would not be enough. Wisdom, empathy, and understanding would be necessary. He nodded to her, then turned to face the lake creature fully. He had to think quickly. He remembered the lessons learned from previous challenges: patience, observation, and empathy. He stepped closer, gesturing calmly to show that he and Luma meant no threat. Luma mimicked his movements, stepping beside him with its small, confident presence. Ethan spoke slowly, deliberately. Luma is part of a bond that teaches understanding, trust, and compassion. We act not out of selfishness, but for the greater good. We are willing to face any challenge to prove our intentions. The lake being pulsed again, and Ethan felt a wave of understanding pass through him. It was testing not just courage, but moral judgment and the ability to think beyond immediate threats. He realized that the being saw far more than physical actions. It sensed intention, thought, and heart. The test began immediately. The being sent waves of energy toward the ground, shifting the terrain in sudden tremors. Rocks fell from cliffs, water splashed violently, and the earth shook beneath their feet. Ethan had to act fast. He grabbed Luma, guiding it to safety while using natural features of the landscape to shield themselves. The alien mother moved with them, her immense body absorbing some of the shocks, stabilizing the environment with her energy. Hours passed as the tests continued. The being manipulated the forest, water, and wind, creating challenges that demanded agility, intelligence, and patience. Ethan realized that each obstacle was a lesson. He was learning to anticipate, to think ahead, to trust Luma's instincts, and to act decisively without harming the world around him. Finally, the being paused. The world fell silent again, the tremors stopping, the wind calming, and the water returning to its peaceful shimmer. Ethan stood, breathing heavily, holding Luma tightly. The lake creature's form shimmered, pulsing with light that now felt approving rather than threatening. You act with wisdom and compassion. You respect life beyond your own. The bond is accepted, the balance preserved. The alien mother approached Ethan, her glow calm, her hum conveying pride. She circled them both, nuzzling Luma softly, then touching Ethan's shoulder with her massive limb. Ethan felt warmth and reassurance, understanding fully that they had passed the trial and earned the recognition of a being older and wiser than anything they had encountered. Days later, the colony received word from other explorers in nearby systems. Strange energy fluctuations and disturbances had been noted, and many feared the unknown. Ethan shared his experiences, explaining the importance of understanding, respect, and empathy when encountering new life. His words resonated with the colony and beyond, inspiring a shift in how humans approached alien worlds, not as conquerors or exploiters, but as careful, responsible explorers. Ethan, Luma, and the alien mother continued to explore the planet together. Each day brought new discoveries: hidden caves with glowing fungi, rivers teeming with strange fish that seemed to communicate with one another, and forests where the plants themselves reacted to movement and thought. Ethan marveled at the intelligence of the planet, realizing that life was not limited to beings with limbs or voices. It existed everywhere, in every form. Luma's growth accelerated. It learned human languages quickly, mimicked tasks with dexterity, and demonstrated remarkable problem-solving skills. Yet its bond with the alien mother remained strong. The child would communicate silently with her, and Ethan often felt waves of emotion and understanding passing through him as he watched. It was as if the three of them shared a consciousness larger than any single mind. Then came the day when a distant signal appeared in the sky, a fleet of vessels approaching from beyond the system. Ethan knew immediately that this was no ordinary exploration mission. The ships were enormous, armed, and moving with precision. Panic spread through the colony, and Ethan felt the weight of responsibility pressing heavily on him. The alien mother appeared beside him, her glow steady, her hum a calming presence. Luma reached up, touching her limbs softly, and Ethan realized that they were not alone in this challenge. They had allies in ways humans might not yet understand. Ethan formulated a plan. They would not fight blindly. They would communicate, using the trust and bonds they had established. He instructed the colony to prepare signals, lights, and patterns that could convey peaceful intentions. Luma joined him, instinctively assisting with the preparations. The alien mother's energy resonated with the signals, amplifying them in ways humans could not. When the fleet arrived, they were met not with hostility, but with a display of unity, trust, and intelligence. Ethan and Luma stood on the ridge, the alien mother hovering behind them as the alien vessels paused. Slowly, one of the leaders communicated, recognizing the bonds and intentions of the humans and the alien species. There was a long negotiation, a silent understanding that grew through trust rather than weapons. By the end, the fleet departed peacefully, leaving the colony and the planet intact. Ethan realized that humanity's true strength lay not in conquest, but in the ability to communicate, empathize, and act with courage and wisdom. Luma nuzzled him, and the alien mother's hum echoed softly around them, a reminder that bonds forged with respect and compassion could withstand even the greatest challenges. Ethan looked at the stars that night, reflecting on everything that had happened. He had faced poachers, survived tests of courage and intelligence, encountered ancient beings, and now negotiated peace with a fleet of powerful aliens. And through it all, Luma and the alien mother had been by his side, guiding, teaching, and supporting him. The universe was vast and full of unknowns, but Ethan felt ready. Humanity had shown it could rise to the challenges of the cosmos not through force alone, but through courage, compassion, and understanding. The bond he shared with Luma and the alien mother was proof of that. As the twin suns rose the next morning, casting their golden light over the colony and the forest, Ethan took a deep breath. The future was uncertain, as it always was, but he felt a deep sense of purpose. He had proven that humans could act with heart and wisdom, that life of all forms deserved protection, and that bonds, once forged, could span worlds. With Luma at his side and the alien mother watching over them, Ethan stepped forward into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges awaited. Humanity had a place among the stars, and he was determined to show that courage, empathy, and understanding could light the way, even in the darkest reaches of space.